All right, cool. So now your next show is Chicago.
Yes.
All right. So
So
who
it's
else
four
is
and a
in
half.
the? Oh yes, yeah. Who else is doing the 212 Chicago? I don't even know.
Yeah. Keon is doing it, as far
Oh
as I
shit.
know.
Yeah.
He won it last year.
Yeah.
Jewett just announced that he's doing it. Um, man, I know there's someone else, a big name that I'm missing, and it's just not that I know for a fact is doing it, and it's very.
Well, those two names
Oh,
like.
Jason Lowe is doing it.
Oh wow, yeah.
I Broku. Um, man, I know I'm missing somebody, and I'm gonna remember it after we're done recording, and it's gonna piss me off.
You know what? The truth of the matter is, as far as I'm concerned, the 212 is so deep that it doesn't even matter what show you're gonna do. You're gonna. I'm convinced. I just maybe I'm wrong, but I'm convinced 212 is way deeper than the open. I mean, the physiques are just so. I mean, Keon and John Jewett. I totally forgot about Keon. I mean, that guy is just. But the truth of the matter is, I mean, you break top 5 at Chicago, and that's saying something, dude. Like that's saying a lot. That's saying I can hang with these guys,
Yeah.
And it's a rough, deep lineup, man. But
the other thing too is I know you have to pretty kind of reprove yourself every year, but I was able to. I mean, granted, he was off for sure, but I beat Jewett at the Olympia. I think he placed what the hell did he place? It's like 11th or 12th or something like that. And then I ended up placing 8th. And it's funny because everyone that beat me that season, even though I went in on points, everyone that beat me that season, I ended up beating at the Olympia.
That's what's great about bodybuilding.
Except for George. George was the only person.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him too. That's what's great about bodybuilding is, like you said, if you like somebody like yourself that can make these small adjustments and move up a few notches, and then somebody else comes off, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, you're in the top 3, you're in the top 5. That was Dexter's like claim to fame. Like he's never not in shape, and if somebody else slips, like a Jay Cutler slipped that year, and boom, he's Mr. Olympia. But yeah, absolutely. That's the one, great. I mean, listen, before the New York before Indy, I was picking Samir Trudy to win first or second. I'm like, oh, this guy's
a lot of
good.
People were, yeah.
And then he showed up and you're like, what happened? It was so bad that I'm like, something personal had to be happening, relationship, something,
right.
You never know. You're 100% right. You never know what could happen. And the thing is, like somebody like you're always in shape. So no matter what happens, you're going to catch somebody slipping, and you're always in shape. You're not going to be the one slipping. So from what I could tell from throughout the little research that I've done about you in the shows that I've seen.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. And that's, again, it's a testament to your character, your will, your hard work, and your genetics, and your skill. It's the God's honest truth. But okay, so you're going to go to Chicago, you're going to win. And then you're gonna go to,
and then we're going to Disney World.
Yeah, and then you're going to, and then you're gonna go to the Olympia. So are you gonna go to the Olympia, whether you win on points or not, or you want to win? You're gonna go.
Well, obviously, I want to win, but so this is how I'm looking at it. So obviously, the Puerto Rico is happening this weekend.
Yes, weekend? Yeah, I think Guy Sestanino's doing that show.
Okay. Yeah, so the Puerto Rico's coming up, and then you got Chicago, you got Tampa Pro, which is obviously like right down the street from me.
That's great.
And the Texas Pro. So, God willing, and I stay healthy and all that stuff. Mentally, I'm prepared to have to do all 3 if I have to.
That's fantastic, man.
So
you're an old school bodybuilder, dude. You're an old school. I'm doing every fucking show I can possibly do. I mean, it's a combination. Milos. That was Milos. Yeah. Milos used to do every goddamn show.
No, there's 2 parts to that. Obviously, so that's the reason why I brought up last year's Olympia and the fact that I beat guys that beat me in the season. Is it doesn't matter whether you win or go on points, because a lot of the guys I beat won shows. And I went in on points and beat a lot of those guys.
Right.
So it doesn't matter.
That's what's great about bodybuilding, man. That's what you just never know.
And then you mentioned old school bodybuilding. If you go back to the 90s and the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, you could go to really almost any show and most likely see your favorite bodybuilder or at least one of them competing, right? Whereas nowadays, I feel like a lot of guys, like, they kind of reserve themselves for either the Arnold or the Olympia, or let me, try to strategically, get this qualification, and then, I'll see you in September, or whenever. I feel like there's a bit of fanfare that we as the athletes, I think we should make an effort to contribute to that in some way. I'm a fan too, as much as I am a competitor. I have favorite bodybuilders. I have favorite 212 guys, and I have favorite open guys. Like, I want to see these guys go at it too. Like, I enjoy just as much. So I do want to add to that, what I feel is a missing part of our culture, in terms of the sport as a whole. That does mean something to me.
Well, Sergio said that. Like, Sergio said that on his last Instagram post. He said, "We got, let's get on stage and put on a show and see who's the best, and start competing." And he kind of alluded to that. And listen, personally, I think the reason why you don't see that is because bodybuilders today make a living
off of social media,
and they can't really spend a lot of time away. Where years ago, it was like they had a contract with Joe Weider, and all they did was compete, and the prize money was money in their pocket. So it was just boom, boom, boom. It's a different kind of era. But
I agree with that.
What bodybuilders did you admire growing up?
Okay, so funny enough, contrary to what most guys tell as their story in terms of like, I did sports and that naturally led me to bodybuilding, or like, I went to my first show and I was like 11, and I've loved bodybuilding since I was a kid, and I always knew I was going to be a professional bodybuilder. None of that applies to me at all. So when I started lifting, my goal was to stop getting beat up in school and maybe get a girlfriend along the way. That was it. That was it for me. So my first exposure to bodybuilding, and pretty much my only one until I actually started competing, was so my dad actually kind of followed it a bit, and I remember watching the 2003 Mr. Olympia. It was the year that they had Triple H hosting it, and they had like that challenge round.
I remember that. Yeah, it was Triple H, Matarazzo.
Yes.
I watched that. Yeah.
That was my first visual, like, watching a show exposure to bodybuilding. And I had kind of glanced through some of the magazines leading up to that moment. More so because I was on my own journey and I wanted to kind of understand what these guys who look like this are doing. But beyond that, I really didn't know who anybody was. I just kind of looked from a place of just admiring what they looked like, but I didn't know who they were. Okay. So beyond that, my next exposure to it didn't come until a decade later, when I decided I'm going to try this whole bodybuilding thing and see how it goes. Now, at that point, I had been mildly aware of guys like, obviously, Dexter. Everyone knows who Ronnie is. Like, even if you never have been exposed to bodybuilding ever in your life, even if you're from like Egypt or Asia, if you don't know English, but you hear somebody say, "Yeah, buddy," you know exactly who they're talking about, right? So, but to answer your question, I do now, especially once I started kind of getting into this. Dexter Jackson's my favorite bodybuilder of all time.
I don't blame you. Like, I mean, how could he not be? I mean, the guy is just
easily hands down.
I mean, he could have kept going. I mean, he could have kept winning shows. I mean,
at the very least, placing in the Olympia, like
the guy was just, it was unbelievable. I mean, it's just on this. He's a bodybuilder for no words. I mean, 3 decades of champion high caliber bodybuilding, and nobody's ever done that. Nobody's ever done that. He's got to be in your top 5, top 6.
Well, he has the most wins of any bodybuilder in history, right?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Just saying, the body of work speaks for itself.
Yeah, right. No, the man is just a freak of nature. Just, there was a time when and I think it was after he won the Olympia, and I think it was 2011, 2012, kind of people kind of writing him off.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I think he was working with George Farah. I want to say, I'm not sure, and he just kind of, he won the Arnold again, and he reignited his whole career again. It was unbelievable. But all right, so just getting on more of a juicier topic, I wanted to get your opinion.
Sure.
Because of social media, there's a lot of bodybuilding gossip and shit talking. Most of it is friendly, but some of it isn't. With the Blessing and Nick. And then, I mean, you just go down the list, and then, recently we had Sergio and I don't know, you could just go down the list. There's always somebody that's involved. Oh, even it was Sergio and John De La Rosa with the New York Pro back a couple of years ago. What do you, yeah. What do you think about all that? Are you into that, or you seem to don't be involved in any of that gossip, shit talking, or is it just something that you would do? Or you just haven't really.
Okay.
And do you find it entertaining?
Okay. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I think it's a little forced. For the buildup of the show and just the dramatic, the dramaticism of it. Sometimes I do. I'm a fan of rivalries. I do think it's, to an extent, it's good for the sport. Just from the standpoint of everyone, we're all on social media and we all have pretty much control over our own exposure. It's not controlled for us like back in the day with like the Weeder contracts and all of that stuff.
Right.
I do think that in some cases, I think the guys, I don't want to say they try too hard to be buddy, but I think there's too much. I think sometimes there's too much kumbaya, and there's not enough. There's not enough fire. Everyone wants to be friends, and that's okay. But I feel like it's kind of like why I stopped watching like the NBA. I don't know if you follow basketball at all, but I stopped watching the NBA because I was tired of watching everyone want to play on the same team with each other.
Yeah,
like that's not fun.
Yeah.
You can go back. You can go back to the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan and Dennis Pistons. Rodman and Steve Kerr and all of that.
Yeah, and the Detroit Pistons. I mean, you can't get better than that.
No, but they didn't acquire superstars.
No, they didn't.
Right?
They did.
They built superstars. Yeah, they became superstars by being a part of the team.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were separately like unbelievable genetic marvels of the sport.
Right.
On separate teams, and then we're like, hey, if we all join forces, we're gonna be like this unstoppable thing. No. So I do think that a little bit of rivalry is good for and a little bit of trash talk is good for the sport. That being said, as an adult, I am extremely protective over my space and my bubble and my energy. I'm extremely protective over it. And I refuse to allow anything or anyone in that disrupts my chi, my mana, my whatever term you want to use for spiritual energy. I don't allow that to be disruptive. So, but at the same time, I'm just like, I guess I don't really go out of my way to do anything to piss anybody off. So like, no one ever like talks trash to me. I think the closest thing that I ever had to someone trying to start shit with me was Boston Lloyd when I won my pro card. Yeah, like I didn't even know who he was at the time, and he like went on my social media. He's known for wanting to troll people and whatever. That's what he does. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have got so worked up about it. But no, he said some pretty inappropriate things that I'm not going to repeat on here. And I was just kind of like, yo, who the hell is this dude? Like,
talking shit.
I'll knock his ass out. Like I don't play this. I don't play this social media stuff. Like, but then I learned who he was, and I'm like, okay, this is his gimmick. This is his whole thing. This is how he gets his followers. This is how he makes his money. And I like, I just kind of like wrote it off. Like, all right, I'm not even gonna respond anymore. I'm just gonna leave it alone.
He is the
But that's the
exact
close.
opposite. Yeah, he is the exact opposite of how I want to be successful with a podcast. I, how could he possibly talk shit? I'm assuming he's going to talk about your bodybuilding career, right? I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. How could you possibly talk shit? I mean, there's a difference between talking shit and critiquing somebody, right? And
Yeah.
when you never turn pro, when you never, I mean, I'm not doubting his ability to train people and his intelligence and so on and so forth. I'm sure he's very knowledgeable in the sport. But how can you talk shit about somebody who is, 2 levels above you?
Well, okay.
I can't do
I
that.
wasn't. Well, to be fair, I wasn't pro at the time, and
Oh, okay.
the way I was in prep for nationals when this happened. To be fair, and also, I guess I don't have like it's kind of almost always been this way. I don't have like the typical look that you would think someone would have from a conditioning standpoint at like it was like 8 or 9 weeks out, right? And some guys will already have like shredded glutes at that time. And I've never been like that. Like that's just not my body type. My body type is I'll be conditioned everywhere else but there. That'll be like the last absolute thing that comes in, and it won't be till like either peak week, like the 1 week out, or if I'm lucky and everything is like really firing, 2 weeks out. Then I'll have glutes.
I mean, if somebody's talking shit 8 weeks, I mean, then come on, man. Everybody, do you remember the first thing that pops in my head? Do you remember a few years ago before he passed, God rest his soul, Dallas McCarver, when he posed? He was a few weeks out of the Arnold Classic, I'm pretty sure, and he posed for, I don't remember who he posed for. And as big of a fan as I am of Sean Ray, Sean Ray like tore him apart, that he looked terrible and his stomach was distended and so on and so forth. And then he shows up at the Arnold Classic and takes second next to Cedric, next to the best Cedric we've ever seen.
Yes.
And it's like, it depends. You know that it's the day of the show that counts. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to trash talk somebody 2 months before a contest,
But, and I understand that now as a pro. I didn't understand that. I guess I did, but like I allowed it to bother me.
Yeah, it would bother me too.
Which now I'd be like I've already been down this road. I know how my body works. Like you don't, so you're going based off of how the other guys look, which is okay. I've been a victim of not a victim, perpetrator, I guess, for lack of better words. I've been a perpetrator of like, I follow all these guys, so I see their posts and I see their progress updates, and every so often I've allowed myself to kind of like, am I behind, or start questioning myself or doubting myself. We've all done it. Yeah. We've all done it at some point. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm in my ivory tower of emotional and spiritual perfection.
Yeah,
I don't deal with any of these other things that people deal with. We all do it. But again, as I've gotten older, I've learned to do things and only allow things into my space that will mentally, emotionally, and physically propel me forward. So I do that thing less frequently. Good, and I don't really deal with the trash talk and all that stuff. I just don't do drama. I really don't.
I find it entertaining, but if I had to be in the middle of it, I would hate it. I would hate it. Hate it. I can't.
It's too distracting from what I'm supposed to be.
If I had to be in the middle of it, like it would bother me. And that's exactly why I take the path I take with my YouTube channel. Is I'm not, anybody who comes on here is going to get nothing but respect. I'm not going to trash talk.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Of course, there's a difference between having a preview or a wrap up show and critiquing bodybuilders than talking trash. Like I said, Boston Lloyd is funny. He's entertaining. I've watched him on Dave Palumbo and RX Muscle, and he's funny, but I would never want my, podcast to be like that, where it's just trash talk and so on and so forth. 3 cc's, that's his whole, it's just not for me, man. Let
Put
him.
it, put it
He
this
can rock
way.
with it. He can rock with it. I'm not even on his level as far as a podcast, but he can rock with that. There's no way in hell I'm doing stuff like that.
Put it this way. If you ever saw me on social media or whatever, like trash talking somebody and like I guess really talking shit, they've done something to really piss me off. Like
Yeah.
it's real. Like I'm like,
even still, I would make a phone call. Even still, I would make a phone call before I would go on social media.
Right. I'd be like, yo, what's your problem? Like,
I think it's the
dude.
difference of generations. I think I'm a bit old. I'm 45 years old. I think it's just
okay.
I think it's just a bit to change a generation. Like, I grew up where, I was always a hardcore bodybuilding fan since I'm 14 years old. And I grew up where, Dorian used to hibernate and then come back to the Olympia. Nobody knew where he came out of, and he would just wreck everybody. And the only way you knew is were magazines, really, if that were the case, until Blood and Guts came out. And I was always I think you and I have kind of the same blue collar background, because you said you were from Lowell, Massachusetts. And it was, if somebody has a problem, then you address it directly, like a man. And going through channels I have to question your sexuality if you're a man and you're going through channels, because that's what girls do.
I would only do that. I would only do that if like I reached out to the person and like they just didn't, they ignored me. And then I'm like, all right, I need to get their attention somehow.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, all right.
Yeah. If it's good fun, like Nick and Blessing, yeah, that's different. You know what I mean? But if there's a problem, like I can't.
Yeah, they were never like they were never personal. Like it was very bodybuilding oriented, and that's where they kept it, which was really cool. And it brought hype to the show, and it made people want to watch and see what would happen. That's awesome. That's exactly what we need, and that's exactly what we want. So
one last question, and I'm gonna let you go. I know you got to eat, and I got to get to the gym.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah.
So what up and coming bodybuilders, whether it's the open, well, let's stay with the open, because I'm not going to ask you about the 212 because
me,
yeah,
I am
exactly.
the up and coming.
Yeah, you are, and that's the God's honest truth, that you are the up and coming, and and I firmly believe that. What guys in the open do you see? Because now those top 5 guys in the Olympia, they're kind of starting to get a little older. The Phil's probably going to retire, and Rolly's getting up there, is around 40. Dexter's gone. Oh, who do you think the new up and coming guys? Who do you like the most in the open? Who do you see breaking through soon?
Oh man, if you put a gun to my head and make me pick, I would have to say Akeem. I really, 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 really like Akeem.
Yeah. Man, I had him on this massive human being.
One, and probably the main reason why, is because he is strong as shit.
It's ridiculous.
Like when you watch him train, you're just like it's not. There aren't too many guys in the open or the 212 that I watch train. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. And he's all light.
I try to be that guy.
Yeah.
I try to be the guy that everyone's like, fuck. I get. Oh my god, like what is this guy doing? Like
he's all like he's all like almost like effortless. When he's training that, almost effortless, and he's just repping it out and repping it out and repping it out and repping it out. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's got, 800 pounds on his back, and he keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. Like, wow, it's unbelievable.
And the second reason is, I'll use the word personal. It's a personal one. So when I won the Eastern USA's in 2016, and then Nationals was 2 weeks later, he pulled me aside after I won the show, and he had a talk with me. And we were talking about when he won his pro card, and he was telling me what he had to do in order to get in shape. And he said for the last 2 weeks of prep, now he won his pro card is super heavy, obviously.
Yeah, he was a big dude.
He was eating 3 ounces of tilapia and 6 or 7 asparagus stalks, 6 meals a day, every day for 2 weeks. That's what he had to do in order to get in shape, because me and him have a very similar problem in terms of being African American, being people of color. We have very thick skin, especially on our asses.
Yeah.
So we can be in shape and still look like we're not in shape in the glute department because our skin is so thick. Yeah. So that's what he had to do in order to get that enough water out of his body to actually show his glutes. And I was like, shit, if he could do that as a super heavy, I'm a light heavy. I could do that too.
Yeah.
And that's what I ended up doing going into nationals in order to get in shape, and it paid off. I felt like absolute dog shit. I think I went hypo after cardio. Pretty much every single time I did cardio, I felt like I was gonna pass out.
Yeah, it's
like I would doing like an hour-long session, and I would get 40 minutes in, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make it, and still power through anyway. So he's always been personally supportive of me. And anytime I've ever seen him, he's always dropped some sort of advice or anecdote on me that has stuck with me beyond that moment. So yeah, Akeem.
Anybody else, or he's your number one pick? Me too. I mean,
he's my number one.
Okay. Anybody else, or that's the only one? If I throw some, can I throw some names out at you and see what you think?
Sure. You're asking if I think they'll break into the top 5?
Yeah.
Is that what we're asking?
Okay. Like, you think they're going to break through? I mean, whether it's not this year or next year, or whatever.
Okay.
Justin Rodriguez.
Hollingshead. Sorry. Hollingshead.
Yeah, he was actually one of the guys I was going to throw at you. That guy is unbelievable. But that guy is clearly the amount of gains he's made in the last 2 years is just mind-boggling. It's just unbelievable. Like, he came out of nowhere.
Yes.
Just boom.
Now hold on before I answer your question. I will say this: if we
don't have to go down this road if you don't want to.
Well, hold on. No, but this might like kind of finalize the whole scenario. If we are talking about an Olympia that has Phil, unless he takes an enormous downturn in his physique in the next year or two, if we're talking about Brandon, Phil,
nobody,
Rolly,
forget it,
Hottie,
and what's his
name?
Bonac, yeah,
and Flex Lewis.
Nobody's breaking that top 6.
To me, the only person that might crack that top 5 is Akeem.
Yeah,
otherwise,
right. Because he's got the size to deal with them. Yes,
that is the steel curtain, and no one's getting through that. Absolutely,
I know. I agree.
All those guys are too good.
I agree, but I agree. But who do you think the next crop of guys coming up would be? Definitely James, Akeem,
Akeem, Ian,
definitely,
Valier,
definitely. Justin Rodriguez.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. I would put him. I really want to put Cedric in there. I love Cedric's physique.
Cedric's a coin toss, Yeah, Cedric is a coin toss. You never know which Cedric you're gonna get. As fantastic of a bodybuilder he is, and which he is, and he is.
I think if Cedric even got like 90 to 95% of like Phil's conditioning,
he'd kill everybody.
No one would beat him. Absolutely nobody.
I know. Between the way he poses, he's a great poser. His symmetry, his balance is perfection. And if he comes in chiseled like that year where he beat Dallas McCullough at the Arnold, if he comes in like that, I mean, nobody touches him.
No, yeah.
All right,
that's my answer.
Okay, no problem, man. Listen, you want to give any plugs, any endorsements or anything like that?
Yes. So obviously, shout out to my mom and dad. I love you both very much. All right. Shout out to my fiance Anastasia. She is in the other room. Giving me.
Is she pro
time?
You pro as well?
No, she will be going for a pro card this year.
Because I've seen her on your Instagram. She looks amazing. Yeah, she looks amazing.
She looks amazing, and she is strong as shit. Like
that's great, man.
Like she benches. She lifts more than most of the guys in the gym. Yeah, any of the men in our gym that are stronger than her are bodybuilding competitors.
Yeah. I could totally. Yeah, I don't know any girls like that personally, with the exception of Rita, just from basically doing the interviews. But yeah, I've seen it on social media and so on and so forth. And it's so, for some reason, women that are into the power sports like bodybuilding, powerlifting, arm wrestling, it's so impressive. It's just so impressive, So
impressive. It's impressive not just because of the feats that they're performing, but the societal stigma that they have to overcome mentally and emotionally to be okay within themselves to pursue something that normal society does not want to see them do.
That's right. 100%.
That's the part. That's the part that is the most impressive and appealing to me. And what attracts me to people like women like that. And I say the word attract, I mean, like, draws me too.
I'll send you the interview of Rita West, because we actually talked about that, about mentally how she has to kind of put herself like in a bubble and is very comfortable with it in her own skin.
She's had to deal with it, like, even because when I met her, she was a figure competitor. That was in 2018. And then she started training with me, got too big for figure. She was already too big for figure, but it got even worse. Goes into women's physique, starts winning shows, classes out of women's physique, and now is in women's bodybuilding. And, when she decided to make the jump to women's bodybuilding, she asked me, like, how do you feel about that? Like, are you okay with me getting bigger? I'm like, if that's what makes you happy, fucking do it. Like, absolutely. I support it all the way.
The two classes for women that I admire the most is women's bodybuilding and fitness. And listen, I'm sure the what is it? The bikini girls, and now what's the new one? The ass implant class at wellness. I'm sure
what'd you call it?
The ass implant class. I'm sure they work hard. I'm not saying they don't work hard, but women have to work a lot harder to put that much muscle on. And it's rough. And it's rough. And like you said, mentally they have to be stronger too, because like I said,
because you know how people, when they go to the store, people are gonna look at them and say things about them. The Instagram messages and comments,
absolutely, which is disgusting. Which is absolutely disgusting, because I hate trolls with a passion, because you've accomplished nothing. And you're shitting on somebody who's doing what they want to do and accomplishing these great feats. And it's like, it's got to become.
It's not even that. If it bothers you that much,
don't look at it. Look. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like if I hate people. I hate when people put pineapple on pizza. Right. So I'm gonna use a stupid example. I'm not gonna how am I gonna be mad at you if you like pineapple on pizza, or if you post pictures of pineapple on pizza? I don't like it. I don't want to see it, so I'm just not gonna look at it, or I'm not gonna eat it. Like, that's it, man. It's not that difficult a decision to make. So if you don't like women with muscle, then stay off of pages that have women with muscle on them.
That's it. It's unbelievable. Yeah, man. I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree.
Mind blown.
Yeah, I actually shut the comments off when I interview women bodybuilders. I just disable the comments, because I don't want anybody to be disrespected. Like I said before, man. Nobody is going to be disrespected on this channel. Even when I do another segment called the Manosphere, which is basically talking about relationships from a man's point of view. I've had couples therapists come on, and I've had debates with couples therapists about masculinity in a relationship and so on and so forth. And even still, when I have the debate, I am the most respectful person. And I Joe Rogan basically gave us the blueprint. You can have a discussion without being insulting. Yeah, right. Without being insulting. So anybody that comes on here, and I know I only have a small following. Hopefully it grows. It will. I pride myself on being respectful and being able to have a conversation without being insulting, and respect the people that come on here. I don't play that. I don't like that at all, because that's hurting nobody. I mean, that's helping nobody, rather.
Yeah, helping. Yeah. How do we get on that tangent?
Your wife.
Yeah. So, you can call it that. We're getting married in February.
That's fantastic, man. Congratulations. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go.
We would have done it sooner. But we wanted like the whole COVID vaccine thing. We wanted our families, parents are older, just so that everyone can, take care of the things that they need to take care of beforehand. But so I shout out my parents. I shouted out Anastasia.
Right.
Our gym, Fam Tampa. So if you're in the Tampa area, come check out our gym.
Do you have a website?
It's on 10. We are working on building the website, but we do have an Instagram page, which is at at fam .tampa TAMPA.
Tampa. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I put that in the comment section. Go ahead.
Thank you. And then my sponsors, Trained by JP Clothing Apparel, which is obviously the shirt that I'm wearing right now.
Trade by JP. Do they have an Instagram or a website?
Yeah, at TB, that B as in boy, .jpc.
JPC.
So Trained by JP Clothing.
Okay.
TB.jpc. And then my supplement sponsor, True Nutrition, which is owned by Dante Trudell. They brought me on as their featured athlete a few months ago, and they have been rocking with me hardcore.
All right, cool. And what's
big shout out to them.
What's their website or IG?
IG is at True Nutrition.
TRUE.
Yep. No funky spelling. True Nutrition.
I'll put all that in the comment section so people know where to find it. And man, I appreciate it, man. It's been great talking to you. Really, really fantastic.
Truly. And thank you for your time.
Oh, of course. And I wish you all the luck in the world. And I truly believe you are a rising star in the 212. I do truly believe you in the next year or two, you are really gonna make a name for yourself. I think people are gonna know who Derik Oslan is very, very shortly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
Of course.
I'm going to work my ass off to make it happen.
You will, man. Thank you very much, dude. I appreciate it. And
absolutely.
Good luck to you, and go eat that meal and then kill it in Chicago, brother.
Hell yeah. We're going to get it done. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
You got it, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right.